Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of Waze Community's Office Hours. Now, you may notice things are a little bit different tonight due to the security situation here in Israel. All of the Waze staff at HQ are working from home today. So it's my pleasure to connect to you from my home to yours this evening. So let's dive right in, shall we? So first up, as always, a couple of announcements. Again, with the note on the security situation, I forgot to mention, in case any sirens go off, we might have to take a quick 10-minute break, but hopefully everything will stay calm this evening. So the first big announcement that I have for you all is that early next week, Center Code is going to be undergoing some maintenance. Now, Gal has already posted to Center Code and will be updating with more details as we know more, but just wanted to mention that early next week, Center Code may have some downtime. So next up, we really want to hear from you and how Waze has helped you all on the road. Last week, I posted to the forum, which I'm going to send here in chat as well. You should all be seeing it show up down in the YouTube chat there, to share your stories of how Waze has helped you on the road, how you've helped other Wazers. We want to hear what inspires you to be part of the Waze community. So if you haven't checked it out, the post is up in the announcements section of the forum, and there's a link there to fill out a really quick form to just share your story with us. Next up, we've got a bunch of upcoming meetups, mostly in South America. So on August 13th, we've got Colombia and Venezuela. August 20th, we've got Chile, Peru, and Ecuador and Bolivia. And then August 27th, we've got Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay. And a big thank you to everyone who's attended the meetups from the last month, from Indonesia, the Beta Global meetup, which I heard was a really amazing time for everyone involved, the UK and Ireland, and of course, the different local meetups that we've had in Brazil. So now that that's out of the way, moving right along, joining us today, we have three amazing guests. You know, I'm really excited for this episode because we've had so many different varying topics and meetings with Waze leads and really big stuff. And this episode, we're returning to the core of really what this show started as and is all about: some open office hours time with experts in the WME. So we're joined today by Judy, the lead WME UX manager, Talia, who's our product manager for the WME front end, and Gail, who you all know from who's the product manager from the WME back end. So with that, it is my absolute pleasure to bring up Judy and pass things over to her.
Hi, everyone. Good evening here from Israel, currently from a city called Tzur Adasa. I'm very excited to be here. And first of all, before everything, I want to thank you, all of you, for those who know me or for those who still haven't got the chance to know me. I'm Judith, the UX lead manager for WME. And next slide, please. Before all, I want to introduce my team very quickly. So my team is currently 3 designers and myself. And our mission is to assure that the editing experience using WME is intuitive, easy to use, connected to Waze brand, and of course, support all of the business needs. For example, safety, excellence, and community growth. It's our job to be sure that we provide the best platform for all of WME users. And when I say WME users, I mean experienced editors from level 3 to 6, script writers, and new editors from level 1 to 3. Next slide, please. So today, I'm very happy to introduce you the current project that we're working on, which is called Transition to Design System in WME. And I'll explain what it means. Next slide. So in the past 2 years, Waze has built an amazing library called the Web Component Style Guide. This library allows all of the developers to use reusable components all across of Waze different products. So it means every time we create or every time we use some kind of web component, we can then share it and allow other teams at Waze to use it. So when there's a need comes from a team, for example, some team needed a table component and it didn't exist before. So the team that was the first user of it created it and then it shared it. So today it's very, very easy to just pull those components and assuring that all of the different products use the same standards, much more modern, and allow us plenty things that we couldn't do before. And when I say plenty things, I can say, for example, if we want to apply some certain type of rule that can apply for all the interface, like different paddings, for example, or pulling any type of update, and then we don't need to choose to change it one by one. We can just say, for example, if Waze brand has updated, then the way that the web component library is built is based on semantic colors, meaning if my primary button is blue, then I can just say update primary button without having to rechange all of the values there. So our additional goal at the moment is to transform WME to use this new framework. So we are at a very, very good stage at the moment. And as you can see on the slide, we accomplished almost 70% of this target, meaning soon WME will be using only web component. Next slide, please. This is an example of how the web component library is built. So you can see here that it serves different type of frameworks, and it's built to support React, for example, Angular, and other languages. Next slide, please. And here is an example of what I called a web component. So here in this example, we see a component which is called an alert. So we know every product uses alerts. So instead of just building it once, we thought about a reusable component that can serve multiple use cases, as you can see here. So in WME, for example, we have cases in which there's one alert, but sometimes the situation is a bit more complex, and then we can support different type of alerts in a small adjustable component. This component also allows us as developers to add here different types of actions, a primary, a secondary, and even allows the editor to expand and collapse this own component. Because we know it's very important from you to have a good usage of the screen space. And since we are very aware to that, we're building components according also to needs that come from you. Next slide, please. Okay, and now I want to move to the exciting parts. So all that I've said until now is like the infrastructure that will allow us to move to this goal, which is called Wme Compact Mode. So after putting everything in place, meaning transition all WME to use web components, it will allow us what we call the W Compact Mode. And it's the first time that we're ever showing it. And I'm very, very excited because I know a lot of you waited for that. Next slide, please. Okay, so what it means, what does it mean, the compact mode? So we know that a lot of editors are using small screen resolution. This is very important for us to show the functionality in a way that it's very scannable and easy to find. In order to do that, now that we will have the style guide web component, it's very, very easy to adjust variables in the code. So for example, what you can see here is a change in the header. So instead of having a header of 64 pixel, it will be 40 pixel. Currently, there's a script that does it. It's called Fix UI. But now the idea is to embed into WME many of this functionality here. I want to say that it's work in progress and we'll be very happy to hear any feedback that you have. Next slide, please. Here is another example of how the condensed mode will work. So you can see that in larger screens, we know that the menu occupies more space. Now with compact mode, you can see that in a very, very short step, the padding was decreased. It will be also very easy to trigger the compact mode. So it will be under your setting, you will have the capability just to turn it off and on. Next slide. Here is an example of a more complex panel that we all know and use. It's the segment panel that you use on a daily basis. So beside playing with paddings and heights of fields, other cool things that we've done here is to display a different component. So for the road type, for example, that is using currently a drop-down, we will allow you to use a cheap component, which is very similar to what you have in the script. As you can see, all those changes are also providing us shortcuts, not only saving space. So those two targets are what we look for when we design the compact mode. You can see here, for example, we saved, I think, I don't really see here, but around 300 pixels of height. Next slide, please. Another addition, thank you very much, Jen. Another thing that we added now is, since we have this flexibility, we're also trying to solve some, let's say, hierarchy issues or navigation, letting the user to have more confidence when they arrive to WME. So one of the things is also to organize the data. What you see here is the left menu that will be soon available in WME. This menu allows us to organize the different types of panels that we have currently in WME. Another addition that you can see here is the second icon on the left, which is edit the map. So currently, we can edit the map by just clicking on the map. But sometimes for new editors, it's not very easy. So as we wish to have a community growth and have more edits, we allow now to have this shortcut to just click on the button, and this will help and provide some guidelines for new editors. Last slide here in this. Next slide, please. Okay, and it's very, no, one before. One slide before, please. Okay, not this one. The one after.
This one.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Brett.
Sure.
So it's very important, as I said, WME should support all the different types of users. And we know we have a very big community of scripters that take the time to write amazing scripts. So what you see here, it's still work in progress, but we will have a special entry for scripts. And in this entry, you can, like, each script writer can create his own script, and this will be the place for all of the users to see it. Thank you very much. And next slide, please.
Great. So I also wanted to encourage you all, if you want to join the WME beta community and see all of these changes as they're rolling out, make sure you're in touch with your local coordinator, and they can fill out a request in CAR to have you added to the WME beta pirates. Also, I just moved around the screen a little bit. Sorry for messing with everybody's eyes, but I hope that this makes it a little clearer to read from the resolution and the screen adjustment. But anyways, Judy, thank you so much. If you all have questions for her, please add them to the link that we already dropped in chat. So now we're going to move right along, and I'm very happy to bring up Talia. And we're going to now discuss the issue tracker. So Talia,
hi everybody. Thank you, Brett. Hi everybody. So happy to see all of you guys and usernames in the comments. So we wanted to update a little bit the issue tracker. We talked about the issue tracker in different formats and office hours and different forums. but I wanted to update about this feature that part of it is already in beta. You need to opt in order to see it. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so the issue tracker, the idea of the issue tracker is to help you manage all the issues that you see on the map. We know that there are scripts that help that scrape the data on the map and show some of these in different formats. But what we're allowing here is to filter any type and any attribute you have on issues through the issue tracker. So what we have now that's launched is the update request filter, the UR. In the settings, you can opt in to show this new mode. The reason we need you to opt in is because once the mode is on, the map layers work differently because these conflict each other, so we can't have them both live. And once the filter is on, you can search by the basic idea is to search by areas and by time creation of the issues. But the different areas that you can filter is either by a geographical entity like a city or a state, or by the map boundaries. And if you're an area manager, you can sort by the area you manage. You filter by the area you manage, and you can search in any time frame you want to see these issues created. The UR themselves have more attributes like the status of the UR, the type of the UR, the number of comments on the UR, when was the comment created, who commented on these URs. And once you apply the filter, you have a list, and the view on the map filters all the specific URs. If you chose map area and you chose to sync between the two, once you drag the map, you'll see a list and a map that are coordinated. We've launched it in beta a couple of weeks ago. We've got your feedback, and we already implemented some of the feedback that was raised. And what we're working now is both implementing the feedback and moving on to places update requests and to map requests and map problems, basically. Once these will be on, we can move this feature into production. Next, please. Okay, so this is an example for a feedback we got from you. We want to have a filter called anytime. So that's basically not filtering out anything in the time filter, and that will be also will create this in the default as a default filter. So once you open the map, it will be anytime. Another main feature that we have on our roadmap is to add a safe search setting that you will be able to search something, filter out whatever you want, and save this search for each work environment you need. So that's also on our roadmap. Next, please. Okay, another feedback that we got is already in beta is showing the number of the issues filtered. In the beginning, we had something like out of many, but you've asked a more specific number, so now we're showing up to 500, and once it's more than 500, we stop. But then you can filter out and go below this number and get a better understanding of the volume of the issues that were filtered. Next. This is another thing that happened. We found an issue that we didn't know about. That once we didn't filter any issues at all, you guys started saying that you see a blocked road type issue. So we added this one. You can filter it out. We're gonna also clean the data and remove all the issues that are not relevant anymore in this in specific type. But these things are amazing because this feature raised above the surface many things that we were not aware of that are now taken care of. Next, I think this is the last one, if I'm not wrong. Thank you. So that's it for now, and I'm really happy about this feature. And if you have any questions, I'll be here for the Q&A.
Thank you so much, Talia. So it's now my pleasure to welcome up Gil, and let us also take this down because Gil is completely going to take the stage, and I'll leave you in his very good hands. We'll be back as soon as Gil's done to do Q&A.
Thank you, Brett. Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Yes. The only hard time I have with these office hours is that I cannot see anyone. So I see myself. That's kind of weird and not so beautiful. So I'm going to talk about fall lanes today. Um, for those of you who were in the Austin Meetup, NA, or EMEA Megas, it's gonna be it will not be repetitive because I'm doing live demonstrations today, but the beginning might look somewhat familiar. So apologies about that. Go try it, get some coffee or something, or yeah. So fall lanes. Um, yeah, no cool logo yet. So this is the main assumption that we have. We really believe that many hash and H junctions, as well as pretty large junctions, will have broken lane guidance instructions. And I'm going to show a few examples. This is one from Israel. As you can see, it's a standard H junction. If a driver comes from this area and they want to make a left turn, they will essentially be using the entry segment instructions combined with the middle segment instructions. That's the heuristics we added. But these heuristics have some limitations, mostly around the angles that are supported and the lengths. And I'll show some. Wait, there's no examples. Is my presentation not on the screen?
So I'm not seeing your deck down below. I need you to share it with
shared it.
us, and then I'll put it up. It's not here
All
anymore.
right. No, that's fine. Sorry about that. Ooh, just 1 second. All right. So can you see it now? It was shared earlier. I don't know why it stopped sharing. Okay.
There we go.
Can you see it? Okay. Yeah, so I will just jump ahead. My magic moment for the joke is gone. So yeah, never mind. So fall lanes. Yeah, I mentioned that all the well, not all, many H and hash are broken. This is an example from Israel, and this is the entry segment, and this is the middle segment. We have heuristics that will combine them into a single lane guidance, and it will be very dependent on the angles and the length of the middle segment. But in many cases, it will not work because the angle will be 1 degree off. The middle segment will be 51 instead of 50 meters, and reality and such. So this is how it looks in reality. Actually, this is a left turn. Now it used to be straight, but these two are left, and there's so left, and straight, straight, and right. This is very simple. Thanks, dude 463. If you imagine a cool logo, please draw it real fast and send it to us because we need the logo. So we'll give you credit, I promise. Anyway, so this is reality. This is how it's mapped. So the entry segment will have these straight arrows and the right turn because it will only see the continuation and the right turn. And the middle segment here will have the left 2 lanes turning left and the right 2 lanes out of the 3 that are left now. 3 remaining. I shouldn't say so many lefts in one sentence. So 2 left lanes and 2 straight lanes. And the person who mapped it, which by the way in the end was me, after I changed it and looked at it, was expecting to get them combined, but it really didn't happen. So if you make a left turn like this, you would only see the middle segment lane guidance. So you would see the left 2 lanes highlighted here with only one extra lane and no mentioning of the right turn that is missing here. If you make a right turn, you would see that. But if, like me, by the way, I was continuing straight, I got this instruction and I was on the right lane. So I thought everything is going to be fine because, the right lane is highlighted. But I was here, so I had to cut in the last minute and continue straight. This is very confusing, and it happens a lot on many junctions, especially where the heuristics don't combine everything. I'm gonna jump on the more horrors part. This is another good example of a big junction box. The segments here are pulled to conform to the 50 meters limitation, are also a bit twisted to get into the right angles. All this is really hard. So what we've done is far lanes, and now I'm going to present a different tab. So I'm going to stop sharing. There's no way to switch sharing here. Brett, I will need your help with. I'll do it. You know what? I'll do it in staging, so I wouldn't have to jump between environments all of the time. So just 1 second.
Sure thing.
Give me
Just share
that.
the
Yeah,
tab.
I'm sharing it now. New tab. I
Awesome.
cannot. Normally, I can just switch between tabs, but not here, unfortunately. So what we've done is essentially allow far lanes, which is essentially lane guidance on. For phase one, it's on junction boxes. So here, for example, you would just draw a junction box. If so, just to get some. I mean, this is a big junction, and it's hard to see, but essentially, this is a turn that goes to a bridge that goes here. And if you continue straight and you want to make a right turn here, you would really need to be on the right lane already here. There's an actual here you'll have a drawing on the tarmac showing you that you need to take this exit, right? So there with far lanes phase one, you can essentially just put a junction box, do something like this, something pretty simple, and that's it. And now you can go here. I'll zoom out. You can go to the entry segment, and under lane guidance, when you add lanes, we have 6 lanes in this junction. All right. So you see these two, they're highlighted. You can say this is a slight left, mark it as this. This would be the right 2 lanes, and this will be all these lanes. You can either use this one or this one. We do have guidance. I think we asked to use these ones. Don't tell anyone. It's not really important. You can do either. It will be relevant for the completion status, but not for anything else at this stage. All right, so this will essentially allow us to do this. Now I'll apply. We'll get this lane guidance, and people who will drive here will get this. So I want to mention a few things. There are a few limitations for phase one. Actually, for phase two as well. And actually, I'll find a standard. Give me 1 second. Hash, because the hash is really simple to demonstrate. So if you look at this, for example, excuse my very disgusting hash junction box here. So again, same idea. You want to get these lane guidance. Actually, it kept it from a previous. Or wait, is there a junction box here? Yeah, there's already a junction box. Okay, so in this junction box, we already have these lanes marked as a left turn. What we are doing with the recent change that was just released to RBS is to put this turn on this segment. So if the distance between the entry segment and the middle segment is less than 50 meters, the driver will get the turn left instruction using these 2 lanes on this segment. Can you see my mouse cursor, by the way? Guys, can you see my mouse cursor? Okay, thanks.
Yep.
It's really important. These reports, this is staging, so it's all, don't worry about the reports. It's just tests that we're adding. It's the test environment for us. So don't worry about the reports. So as I mentioned, basically every exit segment from a junction box can be used to add lane guidance, which is really cool. In this case, it's not even a junction box. I see that someone just added a far lane phase 2 for this. Interesting. Huh. All right. Doesn't matter. It's the same idea. It did steal my thunder for the next demonstration, but that doesn't matter. Long story short, we will push this here. I hope this makes sense. Remember that you apply the lane guidance on the entry segment, but the actual turn is expected to be here. So anything up to 50 meters will be added on this node here. But for big junctions like the one we saw here, right? So we have this. This is a pretty big junction. The segment here is 222 meters. This is not really an immediate turn. So if I'll do this, I'll just put real quick junction box. 1 second. So I added this, and now we can add the lane guidance here if you want to, like I did earlier with the 6 lanes. But what will happen here is a different thing. This far turn here will get a continuous straight message. This is actually an issue. Well, some will say it's a bug, some will say it's a feature. The client will just resolve it automatically to turn left, so to continue straight message. All right. So for really big junctions, what you'll get here essentially is a continuous straight with this lane, and then the expectation is to have another lane guidance here that will resolve this immediate turn here. Okay. So that's the behavior. Again, right now we are going to push the instruction to the turning segment, but only for really short segments up to 50 meters. So 1 second, I'm looking at some questions. Is it possible to add multiple U-turns with far lanes? What does that mean? U-turn lanes. I think so. I didn't know it was an issue. What do you mean? Like two left lanes to make the U-turn? Is that the question? For example, so you can, guys? Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the
Okay. So yeah. You know what?
No.
I'll demonstrate why guess if we can just do it. Let's do it real quick. I'll undo junction box. Boom, 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 boom. You want to make a U-turn from here to here. Let's add some lane guidance. Now this is, you see that it highlights the exit from the junction box, so you'll know which is which. There's no arrow on it. You have to tell us which lane guidance you want to put, because we can't calculate it automatically. So you can do this. If that's what you wanted to know, then the answer is yes. So let's say you want to do something like this, and the straight is like this, and the right is like this. Apply, save. Hopefully it will work, and I will not feel like an idiot. Let's see. It's the staging environment, so it could be broken when I'm saving, but it didn't fail. So you got it. These two will be used for the U-turn. Does that answer the question, guys? I hope so. I don't see any response, but I hope it does.
We've
so
got
now,
like a 8-second delay between this
gotcha.
and so it'll come in the chat in a second.
All right, cool. So yeah, so this worked. Now let's go back here. So we could have used junction box here, but that's where phase 2 comes in, and phase 2 is really awesome. So essentially phase 2, which will be released in the near future soon. Basically what it allows us to do is to create paths without junction boxes. So for example, I can just do this, and you see once I selected the second segment, the front end, the WME front end will detect that there's a connection possible between them. You click here and you just create a far turn, and then when you go to lane guidance, you can just say, oh, I want to refer to that specific slight left turn. So I can do this without adding a junction box, without all the weird limitations that junction box adds. And you can do it like this. Save. And the world did not end. That's really awesome. But here's the beauty about phase 2. Phase 2 can nest things. So I'm still selecting this segment, and I'm going to select, let's say, you see from here you can actually continue straight or make a turn here. So I can do this. I can select this segment, but as you can see, it did not automatically calculate it for me because it's too long, and that's okay. We still allow you to manually select the specific segments you want to use. All right, specific path. Brett, please let me know if I'm over time, because I can talk forever.
You've got another 6 minutes or so. I think you're good.
Okay, so you see that now we have this because I've manually selected all the segments here. There's no limitation to how many segments you select, right? And I added another path to here. So now I can come here and do this. I can do this, slide left, but I can do that. So assuming that you had 2 lanes turning left, but you only want this specific one to turn from this one. So if the driver is going to exit from here, you will highlight only this specific lane for that. And that's far lanes phase 2. Again, it allows complete nesting, and you can just add as many. Well, I shouldn't say as many because there is a limitation somewhere, but as many reasonable of these as you want. And I'm thinking about things like exit ramps where you want to kind of say if you turn here that's one, but if you then continue and then make a left after that, then you can essentially support that with phase 2. Honestly, phase 2 is pretty much ready. We're just testing it right now. But phase 1 should be available in WME. It's in beta, but please remember that whatever you do in the beta environment will affect real drivers because it will touch the map data. So work with your coordinators on that. In some countries, there's just speak with the coordinators to see if we can just start rolling this out. For us, it's really important to make as many of these junctions correctly mapped, and we've been working a lot with some coordinators on fine-tuning the heuristics and the behavior of the feature, and it's going to be per country. For example, in Israel, the decision made by the global champs, the coordinators, is that we will not push the instruction like we do in the States and in Europe. There's still a 1 kilometer limitation. I'm sorry about that. And this is true for both phase 1 and phase 2. Well, phase 1 is junction box, so of course it has the same limitation, but it's the same limitation for phase 2 as well. I've been talking about this with Eagle, and we should be able to get rid of this limitation, and we just need to prioritize it with all the other tasks. I thought it's going to be a huge effort, but it's feasible, and it's something that is pretty high on the priority list right now, especially now with far lanes. But yeah, so I'm going to run real quick on the questions just to see that we don't have any serious questions waiting. Can someone please highlight questions so I will not miss them? Define reasonable. Lisa, good question. Thank you. I need to check. I think it's a pretty high limitation. It's like probably we can try. You know what? Let's break the system. I'll do like a gazillion far lanes and let's see what happens. It's the best way to test something is to stress test it. No, so I'll do a far lane here, a far lane to here, a far lane to here, and I didn't say. Okay, sorry. When you do a far lane to a bidirectional segment with phase 2, you need to select which direction you want to come to. I mean, if it's a bidirectional road, you can select where do you want to enter, right? So let's do a far lane here, and let's do a far lane here. Is that enough? Is that reasonable enough, or do you think you would need more than this? We have, let's see. Okay. So I think we're good from... And there's also on the other side, I think, because it's a bidirectional segment. Yeah, so we have 2 far lanes going one way and 4 going the other way, far turns. Good question about the 16 limitation, 16 connections. Actually, this is already solved. I can actually show you now on staging more than 16 connections. It's going to be 31, not 32. Don't ask why, because otherwise I'll have to give you lots of lies. But the beauty is that it's already working. We have a silly bug in the UI where WME can work really slow with a lot of junction box entries. That's what currently limits us. It's a pretty new annoying bug. But honestly, since it doesn't happen all the time, I'm working on maybe releasing it with this limitation. So in the very few junction boxes you'll need to get to all the way to 31, it might work a bit slow, but you can at least map it, and we'll sort it out a bit later. I think everyone here would, correct me if I'm wrong, you would prefer to have 22, 23, 24 connections with no issues, and sometimes 31 with some issues, than nothing for the time being until we sort this out. So that's actually my plan for this.
Great. Why don't we leave it there and
Right.
invite our other guests back up, and we'll jump into some Q&A. Sound good?
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. So let me bring everyone back up here. Also Judy. And then let's reorganize this to go this panel. And then our Q&A deck is here, correct? Is that the right one, Dunny? Yep. Awesome. Cool. So let's see our first question. So would it make sense for script writers to use any of the new web components? And if so, will the API be made available? So that one's for Judy. And take it away.
Okay.
Judy, I can also take it if you want.
Okay. Yes. Please.
So I saw another question, Brett, later on about our mapping of the scripts and what we've been doing with the scripts. So I'll unite these two questions, okay? There was a question about, there was a big form that we asked you guys to rate the features inside the scripts. And it was the hugest form ever created in Google Forms. As a user, I'm saying that. No, it's not a real data. And you guys managed to answer it and gave us so much input because we don't know much about the usage in scripts. So that was a great entry point to understand what are the features that are mostly used, and to map these and to start adding these into the WME natively, and I'll talk about it in a second. Regarding the API, this is a much bigger program. We haven't mapped it yet. We haven't decided what type of API and how we'll work on it, how we'll do it. So it's not, the planning here is so vague yet, so there's nothing to share about it. We do know that we want to support better the scripts. We want to allow a special location inside the left menu, like Judy showed, and to help solve any problem that there is with scripts. But we are not currently working and defining specifically the API. API is a really general big word that can be defined in many, many different ways. So what we are doing actually day to day now is using the information from the form. The top features that were raised were all referring to routing features. Question you had like, how is routing visible in the WME? So we are planning in the next couple of months in 2022 to work on defining a better simulation for routes inside the WME. So these were the top features. Other than that, where we have all sorts of other features that are requests that you have that we also had, but this is the top voted features that we will work on the next couple of months, and then we'll continue and define if we'll need more work on the API. So that's the two questions in one answer.
Thank you, Talia. So that answers the question from Dave and the other question we have later from Nate, so we can skip that one later on.
I just want to add to that I answered also by posting a reply inside of the Dory with the link to a post that just explain all of the question.
I'll share that here in the chat on YouTube as well, so everyone has a chance to see it. Great, let's move on to our next question. Oh, Farlanes, Dunny, you're already one step ahead of me. So this is a guild question on Farlanes, now available in WME Beta and in the app. And there are even more reasons to use junction boxes. So there are more intersections that would like to use junction boxes. This means more time we run into the junction route limitation. So we actually already covered this. So Jason, sorry, but we're going to skip over this because Gil just showed us it's going to 31. So let's go to our next question from David. So UR responses from an editor to guest Wazer accounts don't go to the Wazer. Will we be able to filter those out since responding to them is a waste of editor time?
So this is I have a couple of things to say on that. One is that this piece of information is a myth. There is no such things as you are not going back to a guest Wazer. The only limitation is we are not allowed to send above X number of push notification to a new users, which means in the first 30 days of a user, any user, by the way. It doesn't matter if he's a guest or registered or whatever it is. So that's a limitation that sometimes happens. The push notification will not arrive to the user, but that's not because he is a guest user. So this is something that's an issue, but it's not the main issue. The issue that we have is every user is not answering, responding to the editor's comments. We have less than 10% people replying back to you, to comments you share on yours. I have two things to say about that. One is that we are now working with the people who are working on the report menu to see if we want to allow, we can't make user type a comment and description on their information while they're driving. This is a safety issue, but we can remove, we are discussing the option to remove the general map issue as it doesn't give a lot of information in the first place, but this is something we're going to talk about. I think there is a post in some forum already about it. The second thing is that the chat that we are going to introduce to WME will be the infrastructure for chatting on based on UR. So the infrastructure will be better. User will be able to reply better, easier. It will be more visible in the app. So that should improve your communication too. Both of these features are not relating to a guest user. Can replies also include a link to the Waze support website if they have questions about the way the client works? So replies and auto replies is something we'll talk about when we introduce the chat. One of the things we wanted to do that once a user will report something, we'll send them an automatic response saying, hey, do you want to add some more information? And also, if we'll have some canned response, we'll have to report. But that will take a while.
Thank you, Talia. So let's move on to our next question. Anonymous writes, agree with Jason. The current, okay, junction boxes, moving on. We've already beat this one to death. From Jason, I had issues with the issue tracker where not all URs are being displayed. Has this been corrected? So Talia, this might be from the beta testing from before.
Yeah, so this has been fixed. It's a feedback we got about not all issues shown in the UR, and it's fixed already in beta.
Great. So next question from Andre. Issue tracker, is it possible to see all in a specific country?
Yeah, so one filter is a country also. You can search for it. It will be a very long list depending on the country, of course. And yes, the zoom level won't show it, but the list will allow it.
Great. So from ABC 1357, I'd like to request more built-in verification capabilities in WME so we can check how it will actually display and announce in the app. Right now, for far lanes, we have to test drive to actually see what the behavior is. So as we mentioned earlier on the script issue, on the routing scripts, this is something that we are actively talking about. Talia, if you want to discuss.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. That's what we're working and defining. We have some workshops around it later on in the year, and this is something we will share once we have more detail, but we are working on.
Next up from Lori, what is a blocked road UR? How is that different from a user submitted road closure?
So to be totally honest, we don't fully understand the flow. We are investigating it to understand which flow creates this type of blocked UR, road UR. We have some assumptions, but it's in QA. We on our side, we were not aware about this type of issue. We were filtering these out. We were not aware of them. So there was some miscommunication a couple of years ago that created this situation, but we don't know exactly.
Got it. So let's move on from Stephen. I have multiple area managers, but not in the same state or region. Issue tracker is showing them as belonging to the same state and region. Could that be a bug or something in the AM system?
I'm assuming it's connected to a user, and we don't care. Like once you say you want to look for an area manager, an area that is managed by you, we just show all the area you manage. It doesn't have anything to do with the country. We don't sort it out. But we can also look at that if it seems like a bug. But it's supposed to if you're in the right environment, it's supposed to work.
All right, so Stephen, why don't you report that in the WME beta forum, and we'll take a closer look if you can give us some examples. So next up from Sebastian, can we manually suppress the continue straight instruction for junctions larger than 50 meters in later phases of far lanes for Gil?
So unfortunately, not really. The continue straight message is generated in the client. So no matter what we'll do, it will generate this instruction. We're looking into changing the client behavior a bit, but that will only realistically happen somewhere in the, somewhere next year. So it's not anytime soon. You can say soon when it's not soon, right? Just double checking.
I'll allow it.
Thank
They
you.
already did. They caught you in a few more earlier, by the way. I don't know if you noticed in the
I
chat.
didn't say soon. I said
Judy got one too, by the way. I'm keeping track. Everyone.
Okay. I did like mumble soon, but because it's real soon. But yeah.
Okay, so next up from Jason, will custom visual instructions and shields work with the paths for far lanes phase 2?
Thank you, Jason. I forgot to mention something very important. So the answer is yes. Paths will allow any override besides you cannot do a closure. So you can't put a path and say that it's not an allowed turn. So you can do turn restrictions with this, but you can do you can even do like a turn instruction override and shields and everything. And also something I forgot to mention that is really important for following phase 2. From day 1, we decided that we don't want to impose any limitation on the segments. So you'll be able to split segments, join segments, merge segments, do everything to a segment to segment that is within a path. And as long as you don't break a path, like disconnecting or deleting the segment, this would work. And you'll be able to just edit normally, even if there are tons of paths in that area. So that's good, I hope.
Awesome, thanks. Before we move on to Lori's question, I wanted to just take one really quick from chat from Jason, because it's actually something that I'm getting a lot from the community, and I'd really love a more crystal answer if I can put you in the hot seat, Talia, on ETA.
Sure, no problem.
Chat.
So maybe some of you already got the email today that was too widespread. I'm sorry to say that shares about the chat that will be open in the forum. So this will happen in a week, unless we have some other legal and privacy issues. But it's ready, and it will be shared on the forum, and that means that the chat between two editors will be available then. And also in the forum instead of private messages. Regarding replacing the chat inside the WME, replacing marks. So this is our next phase, adding more features to the chat, like links and images and things like that. And then group chat. Once we have group chat, then we can deprecate marks, because marks is basically like a space for people in the same country. So we'll have group chat, and then we'll deprecate marks. So that will take a while. I hope we'll have by the end of the year, beginning of testing of groups, but that's a very general timeline.
Well, thank you so much. So another question from Lori, again for Gil, with far lanes, how will Waze choose which road segment to use for the voice visual instruction?
So I'm not 100% sure I understood the question. Are you referring to in cases where there's a nested instruction, or cases where there's I'm trying to understand the question. Bottom line. So if it's a nested question, a nested instruction, then it will use the largest path. So if it's a path within a path, the large path will be stronger than the short path.
Got it. If Lori has a follow-up, you can feel free to put it in chat. So from ABC 1357, from the routing simulation enhancements in WME, appreciate if you could add lanes, road shields, announcements, and the segments names that are announced at each of the turns so we can see what is happening on the app end. Another possibility is to add that to the route preview in the app. So this is very good feedback, not so much of a question, but we will keep that in mind when we get to the discussions of how to start implementing the routing simulator. So another from Fasterino Speederino, will it be possible to assign specific turn guidance instructions with road shields for different paths with far lanes too? I think we just did already answer that, so let's move on. From Gary, can the map issue and closure report app buttons be swapped? That might prompt the 99100 closure URs instead to be enter as closures, possibly due to better reporting visibility. That's an interesting suggestion for Judy. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I think it's part of, as Talia mentioned, we're currently working also. We lost Talia, yeah. There's another team just for visibility. It's not the WME team, but the UX team that works on the report is actually exploring these exact question, what is the right order of the buttons, and they're doing some UX research around it. I agree, it's a good suggestion, and I'll pass it to this team.
Let's go back to Lori's question because he just responded in chat. Danny, if you can bring us back a couple. So Gil, this is what Lori was talking about, for example, that like a bridge, the bridge junction box that you just built. So a user who stays left and then takes that quick right turn after the left turn, what will they hear or see?
Can I share or no time for that? Can I share a screen for a second?
I have Talia back. Let's put her back. We have 3 minutes left, and I don't see your screen share below, so I'm sorry, I don't think we can.
Okay, so the bottom line is that it will show the instruction that will be correct for the longest path that we have. So if you have a path that starts with segment number 1 and ends with segment number 3 telling you to use the left lane, and you have a path that goes through segment number 3 from 1 but ends in segment number 5 that tells you to take the second from the left, this will be the one that will be used for the guidance.
Cool. So let's pull up another new question. This one from Lee. So since far lanes is introduced, will something similar be supported for junctions that are very near to each other for better clarity of which actual junction to take?
Yeah, actually, this is pretty similar to the example I showed with the bridge. These are two essentially different junctions, but they're pretty big junctions. They're pretty, well, not big, but like main junctions, and they're close to each other, close enough to be relevant, but not close enough to be the same junction. I hope I hope it makes sense. But far lanes is specifically designed for that, so you can essentially tell something about the upcoming junction while you're still inside the first junction or coming towards the first junction. So you can kind of tie them together loosely or strictly as much as you want. That's
cool.
Yeah.
So any comments on turn closure where we can close a turn and not just the segment? So this, by the way, I will say, is one of the top rated suggestions that we are discussing in the suggestions committee, but it is not on the roadmap yet. But anyone else who wants to add their opinion on this, please feel free.
I would just say that I was very disappointed it didn't win in the hackathon, but because that will raise the priority for that. But I have no news for it, unfortunately.
Alrighty, so let's take our one last question before we sign off today. Is there anything else, Danny? If not, we'll take something from the chat. There is. Any this is it. This is the end of the questions. Okay, so I'm going to take something from chat because I saw it also earlier. So can we also bury the parking lot category, as Wazers are using parking lots way too often in the places function? So Judy, that's something I think for you.
Again, sorry, can.
Yeah, so this is just another thing for us to look at on the stacking of different buttons as we're updating design.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we need to rethink the order and the placement of this. So we'll take this comment and take care of it. Thanks for that.
And great, thank you all. We are out of time for this session of Waze Communities Office Hours. I would love again to thank our wonderful guests, Judy, Talia, and Gil, for joining us. Thank all of you out there in YouTube land all around the world for joining us. Make sure you tune in next month on September 4th. We're planning on bringing you something different and new, the Waze for Good initiatives. So you can hear all about how Wazers, just like us and you, are helping our communities for charitable causes all over the world. So thanks everyone again for joining us. Make sure you fill out the survey. Let us know how we're doing and what you'd like to see next. And we will see you all in a month, if not sooner, at all the different meetups around the world. So thanks, and we'll see you all soon.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.